Hello, it's Matthew and Simon from DicePen, and today we will present you the gameplay for Roll and Rails. Roll and Rails is a roll and write game for 1 up to 5 players. All you need is one game sheet and one player sheet per player in order to play. You also need some dice. We will present to you dual game on the map of Scotland, so we need 9 dice, some colored pencils and a pencil for every player. Let me show you what the game looks like. First of all, the main object is the game sheet. Here we have the map. This is the map of Scotland for 2 players, where you can see cities marked with colors, 4 different colors, and also there are some territories like mountains, forests and plains, where we will be building the railway tracks. We have also the table for goods. Here we see the new goods that will appear on the map, and some other components for building new city, and the table for setup of the game. Each player receives one player sheet where everything will happen during the game. Here you can see a player sheet. Every player receives one sheet for the game, and here you can see some elements of this sheet. On the left there are all available actions which you can perform during the game. In the middle there is a specialist wheel where you can hire one specialist to help you receive money and develop your company. Here you can see the rolling stock level. It means how far you can transport the goods on the map. Here is the table for points which you will receive during the game. There you have the available resources, so how much money you receive during the game, and the final scoring. So let me show you the preparation for the game. Before the game you need to put the starting goods into the cities on the map. There in the bottom of the page you see the starting setup table. What you need to do is to fill in every city on the map with goods. So here we see the Inverness city. In order to fill in the city with goods, you need to roll 3 dice. And all the scores that we see on the die will say which goods will be in the city. So we have 1, 3 and 4. Let's look at the setup table. 1 is a blue goods type, 3 is a yellow, and 4 is a red goods type. So let's put it into the city. Blue, yellow and red. And when we do this, we need to cross out 1 goods from each of the table. So let's close blue, let's cross out yellow, and let's cross out red. Each individual type of goods can appear only 7 times on the map. When you fill 7 goods, you have to re-roll this dice. If there was a 6 rolled, then you put no goods, and you also have to mark it here, so there are no goods for this town. So it can have 2 or 1 goods. So we do this process as many times as there are cities. Let's look at Aberdeen. So now we have 3, 4 and 5. So this will mean it will be yellow, red and grey goods in this city. As you can see, the game sheet is prepared. We have filled all the goods in the starting towns. As you can see, we have filled 3 of the 6 spaces in the city. The remaining 3 spaces can be filled in during the game. As you see in the red town, there are only 2 goods which can be transported. We rolled number 6, so it means that there are only 2 goods for this city. We are ready to start playing. We need to determine who will be the first player, so we can roll 2 dice in order to determine who can be the first. I rolled 4, Simon rolled 8, so he will be the first player. He receives the first player marker, and we are ready to start. The game consists of a certain number of rounds. We can see in the corner of the map, we see that we will play 8 rounds for 2 players. Each round consists of 3 phases. The first phase is rolling and drafting of dice. The first player rolls all the dice, and then we begin drafting for the dice. Simon? The first player rolls the dice, and now he has the first choice. We draft dice one by one, starting with the first player. Then I can choose 1 die, and we start drafting the second die from the last player. So let me take another die. And it comes to the first player, who chooses 2 dice. And now it comes to me, which I take 2 dice and start, and the first player gets his last die. So each of us have 4 dice for the action phase. Now it goes to the action phase. Using the 4 dice that we drafted, we now have to match them to 4 spaces on our player sheet. One of the dice has to be put to the specialist wheel, so let's see what Simon will do. Simon chose the banker action. The banker will give him 3 money, so now he will have to mark it on his player sheet. He has received 3 resources. We mark it on the resource table. The other 3 dice have to be matched with the actions available on the player sheet. We have building of the trucks, upgrading the rolling stock, or shipping the goods. Let's see what he will do. Simon is building 3 tracks. We can see that he will build 2 curves and 1 straight line of tracks. Every player uses his chosen color to build the tracks on the map in order to see which connections are his. Let's see what he will do on the map. Simon has built 3 tracks. Depending on the territories which he built, he has to now pay the costs. First of all, he built the track on the plains. The tracks on the plains cost 0, so this one is free. Next, he built a connection through the town. We see that this connection is going through the town. It will cost 1 resource. And the last track goes through the mountains. This one costs 2 resources. So in total he has to pay 3 costs for this track. Let's see, he will mark it on his player sheet. And now his action phase is over. Now we can go to my move. Now it's my turn. I will use dice with the result 5 for the specialist engineer. He will let me to increase the level of my rolling stock by 1. We start with level 1. I can increase it to number 2, paying 1 resource. I have to mark it in the resource table. Now my rolling stock is level 2. It will mean I can transport goods for 2 connections on the map. Dice number 2 will be used to build the curve track. And I have 2 more dice. However, I am not satisfied with the result, so I can use one of the dice manipulators. We have 4 dice manipulators, which can be used only once per game. I will use the manipulator which can allow me to change the value of 2 dice. However, the sum of the dice has to be the same. So I have dice 3 and 5, which is total of 8. I can change them into 2 4s. In this way, the total sum is also 8, and I can build 2 straight tracks with this manipulator. I mark it on the player sheet that I have used this dice manipulator, and this one was only one time use. The other manipulators that we have is adding or subtracting 1 from 1 die possible, turning the die the other way around, so we could change, for example, 5 into 2, or changing the value of 1 die into the other die that we have possible. As you can see, I have used 3 dice to build tracks on the map, so let's do it. Okay, I have connected 2 cities using my blue tracks. First one goes through the plains, however it comes to the river, so the cost of this connection is 1. The second track goes through the plains, so this one is free. And the third one goes through the forest, so the cost of this is 1. So the total cost of my connections is 2. I mark it on the player sheet, and that is the end of my round. Now we can go to the shipping phase. So now we move to the shipping phase. Starting from the first player, Simon, he can ship goods. Simon has created 2 connections between blue city, a town, and a green city. However, he cannot ship any goods. First of all, the colors of the goods in those cities don't match, so we cannot ship any goods from here to the blue city, or we cannot ship any goods from this city to the green city. What is more, Simon has created 2 connections, however his rolling stock level is still number 1. It means that he cannot transport goods for more than 1 connection. So we can move to my turn right now. Now we go to my shipping turn. My rolling stock level is 2, so it means I can transport the goods through 2 connections. I decide to transport this red piece of goods into this red city. It will go through 2 connections. 1, 2. I mark it on the map that I shipped this good through 2 connections. I have now 2 possibilities. First of all, I can choose to get resources, which means additional money. If I decide to take resources, I mark 2 resources in this table. Or I can go and take the victory points from this table and mark it in the first column, because this is the first round. So I will take the victory points. This is the shipping phase, so I get 2 points for shipping the goods. In total, I received 2 points this round. And now the round is over and we can go to the next round. So now we have the situation after round 7. We will now move to the last round, round number 8. I am the starting player, so I roll the dice. Now we move to the drafting phase. We take one die at a time. And I will take dice number 4. And number 4. I have those 4 dice to choose from. First of all, I will use dice number 5 to use the shipping action. I take this gray goods and I ship them to connections. I cross out this gray and I choose to take the funds. So I mark 2 goods, 2 resources in the table. The second one I want to do is to use the specialist action for the urban planner. He will make new goods in town. I choose town C, the yellow one, and I choose the goods blue, yellow and gray. I mark it out, and now we draw new goods into the town. So it goes yellow, blue, and gray. I have also 2 dice at my disposal, 3 and 5. First of all, I use dice number 3 to build a curve on the map. It goes in here, which creates a connection. This one will be important for the end game. I have as well dice number 5, but I am not satisfied with this, so I can use my last modificator, which allows me to turn over this die to the other side, which will be number 2. And from number 2 I build another curve track, which will be built in here. I build in here, which goes through the town. It will cost me another resource, but I created a connection through the town, which will bring me points for the end of the round. And that is the end of my turn. Simon has those 4 dice available. First of all, he will use his last dice manipulator to change the value of 1 die. He has die number 4 and he will change it to number 3. Now he will use this number 3 to fill in the goods into existing city. This one costs 1 resource. He decides to fill in with blue, green and red goods into town B, Aberdeen. He fills in this goods. Now he will use dice number 5 to ship the goods. He can ship the goods that he has just put in. He will use this red piece of goods to transport it to the red town. This will be through 3 connections. Now he decided to take 3 victory points. He also has 2 dice with value 6, so 1 die will be used to build a sharp curve on the map. He takes his red color and he builds a track. Now Simon can take the goods which I used to have, however it was abandoned. Now he takes this connection and claims as his own. It will bring him points at the end of the game. This costs 1 resource because it was gone through the town. He decides not to use his last die because there's nothing good to do with this die. So that's the end of the action phase for the last round. Now we can go to the shipping phase. Starting with me, I can go and ship this yellow goods to the yellow town at the top. It will go through 1, 2, 3, 4 connections. So I ship this yellow through 4 connections. I decide to take 4 victory points. And that's it of my shipping phase. Now Simon will ship the grey goods to the grey city. He will go through 3 connections. He crosses out. He takes it through 2 of his connections and 1 of my blue connection. So he decides to take 2 victory points, and we used 1 of my connections, so I also decide to take 1 victory points for this. Now we can count the points gained for this round and points for the entire game. After the last round we can move to the final scoring. There are 2 factors for the final scoring. First of all is the points for shipping the goods. In all the game I managed to score as many points as you can see here. In total this will be 31 points for shipping the goods for me. The second thing is the created connections on the map. We see and we count how many connections I managed to create between towns and cities. I created 8 connections on the map, so that's 8 extra points for me. In total I received 39 points for the whole game. Let's move to Simon's score. He managed to get 34 points for shipped goods and he created 8 connections on the map. His total score is 42 points. So Simon won by 3 points. And that's it for the gameplay. I hope you enjoyed it and we encourage you to support our campaign. Have a nice day. Bye!